Bayswater Power Station, the second largest in New South Wales, ready for an upgrade.
This work, which incorporates modern turbine design, will improve the power station's efficiency and will provide that extra energy with no extra consumption of coal and no extra emissions into the atmosphere.
These 4 turbines will be replaced, one each year for the next 4 years, in preparation for when neighbouring station Liddell closes in 2022. While this investment will help Bayswater continue until its expected closure in 2035, the upgrade will only fill 1/10 of the gap left by the shutdown of Liddell Power Station, which leaves the question, what will make up the difference?
There was a mix of some fast start gas, there was some pump storage feasibility included, there was different types of renewables including wind farms, so we're building wind farms as we speak, so that's part of phase A of the plan.
The energy shortfall is predicted at 1,000 megawatts. The turbine upgrade, step 1 in this multi-agency approach, with a long-term goal to create enough supply so we pay less for our electricity. Work is expected to begin next year.
It's very important for our local economy, it's very important for our electorate, and it's very, very important for our state.
Samantha Long, NBN News.
The coal operator there, PWCS, made it very clear that they didn't agree with the proposal to move industrial works basically out of that area.
The last thing we need is a new fossil fuel off the coast of Newcastle.
All smiles for the camera at first. The impromptu media call quickly turned sour. Just minutes later, with the Maitland MP's camera still rolling, the swipes continued.
You're so negative about it.
Scott, no, I'm not. I'm actually advocating for my community. I'm not going to have a fight with you. It's really unpleasant. I went to turn it off and I mustn't have, because I don't use selfie sticks at all. But that time of the morning, it's hard to get someone to hold your camera.
The encounter then posted on social media by both parties. It was all sparked by the government's return and earn scheme. While Thornton is now home to Maitland's first so-called reverse vending machine, the local Labor MP says she's being kept in the dark when it comes to locations.
A member of the community messaged me on Facebook. We'd been checking the EPA site. There's nothing there even as of this morning.
This site will be up and running in a day or so, with another vending machine coming to Rutherford within weeks.
We've got on, we've done it, so look, very proud that we're doing something substantial for the environment.
Samantha Long, NBN News.
There's a bit of a nostalgia in the fit out, so it's both modern and it's got some old world charm. So we've restored a lot of the old features, and there's some original bars that have been restored.
A
A trolley filled with treats, a small token enough to produce some big smiles. Each year, organisers of the Newcastle show give some of the best show bags on offer to children staying at Ronald McDonald House.
To be able to share that excitement with children is fantastic, and that's what the show's all about.
Are you happy?
I'm excited.
Families can call the house home for months at a time. So today's surprise was a welcome distraction from hospital life.
It's hard to sort of put into words the sort of impact that this can have, something like this. So families, little special things like this can lift a family through a very difficult situation that they may be going through.
And there was plenty to choose from, with this year's selection the same as what's on offer at Sydney's Royal Easter Show.
Some of the children were really excited about the Frozen show bags. They had the Ninja Turtle show bags. I think some of the older girls liked the squishy show bags. So many great show bags on offer.
Emma Murphy.
Oh, yum.
NBN News.
A change of scene as Newcastle tries to bounce back from a pre-season blow.
We didn't really give ourselves much of a chance in that game and dropped too much ball. Didn't defend very well. Me individually, I wasn't happy with my games. I know where I'm at, I know what my strengths are, and I know what I need to work on to sort of take my game to the next level.
And Connor Watson knows Newcastle is the right place to do that. Entering his third year in first grade, the former Rooster plans to make the most of the experience around him.
I'm still learning a lot of stuff about playing in the halves, which having PC obviously helps me, and I've got the guidance there of some great ex-halves at the club.
A die-hard Knights fan long before he pulled on the jersey. He's determined to work for the red and blue, hoping it will pay off in the long run.
I think every kid dreams of playing for Australia, so that's obviously a goal long term, and I want to win a premiership one day.
The team is in Port Stephens for a 3-day training camp, the chance to fine-tune, strengthen bonds and enjoy the sights.
I was keen to go for a surf. I knew there was a fair few sharks hanging around up here, but didn't know there was one last week. I'll be out there, but I'll be scared, I reckon.
The camp wraps up on Friday with an open training session for fans at 10 a.m. Meredith Gibbs, NBN News.
It's now just 8 sleeps until the NRL is back on our screens and the 2018 season is underway. I'm joined by Brad Fittler at the launch of Channel 9's coverage. And Brad, for Hunter footy fans, there's plenty of thought about next Friday night when the season kicks off against Manly. What do you make of their hopes this year?
I think across the board everyone looks pretty even at the moment. It was interesting watching some of the trials, and it looked like the trial match was guided by teams with sort of solid combinations. So I think it might take Newcastle a while, but it looks like they've got a lot of obviously the ex-Rooster players, which may help early in the season.
Yeah, their experience, what do you think that actually adds to the side?
Well, the fact is they've played together a lot of games and a lot of big games, so that helps. That helps a lot. There's no doubt when Brownie was recruiting players, he recruited from the same team, so he brought those combinations.
Mitchell Pearce, a lot's been made about his signings, a huge one for the region. What about the leadership point of view? How much will he add to the side from that perspective?
Yeah, he's got some players there that have also been through big stages, like Aidan Guerra. Carlin Ponga's been part of a successful club lately. I think that really counts. So, yeah, I ought to see good things happen for the Knights. I think it's going to be a lot of people are sort of tipping really big things, so it'll be interesting how they start the season.
The first one for footy fans to get excited about next Thursday night, the Dragons hosting the Broncos. How big of a game do you think that one will be?
Yeah, there's always a bit of a rivalry now because of the Wayne Bennett factor. So the fact it's down in Illawarra is, I think, a good thing for St George. So maybe an upset first round.
All right, footy fans, set your alarms next Thursday night.
11 points behind Sydney on the A-League ladder with 6 rounds to play, the Jets aren't expecting a miracle in the race for the Premier's plate. But Saturday's clash in Newcastle could prove to be a grand final preview, so it's no surprise the skipper wants in.
I really want to play. It's a game I've been looking forward to for a number of weeks now against Sydney at home. A special round for us with RAF round, and really want to be out on the park.
Well, he was on restricted training today, and I have to say he did really well, but I'm going to wait till Friday. I need to know that he's 100%, so it's still 50-50 whether he plays or not.
The Jets qualified for the finals by beating Brisbane last weekend, but there's not a lot of celebrating going on just yet.
Laurie McKenna, our CEO, is a teetotaler, but he did allow us to have a couple of beers, the staff that is, not the players, after the game, and he actually shouted, and it's been a long time since he's done that.
The Sky Blues have only lost once this season, but the Jets gave them a real scare in both fixtures in the state capital. With most of his squad now back on deck, Ernie Merrick is excited about the prospect of facing Sydney at McDonald Jones Stadium.
We are confident that we can match them in every area, and going out there and doing it and proving to themselves, this team proving to themselves what they're capable of is what it's all about.
Bogard believes Newcastle presents a different challenge for the champions.
I think we scare a lot of teams with our attacking threats. We've got some quality going forward, and the pace in which we break, I wouldn't like to defend against it.
Fresh from a frustrating early exit at Surfest, Baker started his campaign in round 2 at Manly and made the most of his opportunities. A 6.5 and a 7.6 put him in top spot with 15 minutes to go. A late 6.2 was the icing on the cake as he took the win.
I didn't get the result I wanted at home in Newcastle at Surfest, but I mean, it's just a local curse that I reckon at home. But I mean, yeah, to come down here and especially win a heat like that, a stacked heat like that, yeah, it's a massive confidence boost.
Conditions had deteriorated by the time fellow Merriweather board rider Ryan Callanan hit the water. He struggled to produce a decent score early on, registering nothing higher than a 3.8. Then, with time running out, that earned Callanan an 8.77, leaving him needing a 5 in the final seconds to advance, but it wasn't to be.
It was a pretty exciting game to watch, a bit of free footy, so get a licence to roam, which is good. So yeah, it was good to watch.
It's very important to have this game on the calendar. Obviously, it's the first one to kick off the Newcastle Rugby League, and yeah, very excited about it. And yeah, it's about closing the gap and bringing the game together.
From being 120 miles behind, they've just caught up. The weather's played to their advantage, which is just gutting.
I think it was time. You get to that stage where you're probably weary, and again it's time for, I guess, new blood to come in and take the organisation forward.
He's made a great contribution, and yeah, we'll certainly miss having him around.
It's a scene that's becoming all too familiar in the Hunter, a suburban street blocked off by police tape, yet another home sprayed with bullets. Police say it's part of a feud between rival outlaw motorcycle gangs, the Finks and Nomads, and no one is talking.
They have a misguided code of silence, and we've got to try and break that down. These people are victims of very, very serious crimes, despite the fact that they may be members of the gangs. I'm always going to be concerned that someone innocent might be injured or worse, and that's why it's essential that we break this code of silence down and bring this type of behaviour to an end.
Neighbours in the Maitland suburb of Chisholm were woken by the sound of gunshots at around 1 o'clock this morning. Police found several bullet holes in the front of a house and a ute parked outside. Police have spent the morning door-knocking neighbouring properties to try and discover who targeted the house and why. Since January, there have been 6 targeted shootings in the Hunter, along with several acts of violence, including 2 attacks using Molotov cocktails. Last month, police shut down the Nomads clubhouse at Islington, while earlier this week, the Muswellbrook clubhouse was closed. Detectives from Strikeforce Darnay, formed to investigate the spate of shootings, are working with colleagues from the gang targeting Strikeforce Raptor.
You have to tell us what's going on. Eventually someone close to you or even someone innocent could be badly injured or worse.
Emma Murphy, NBN News.
"57-year-old Susan Dowdall's moment of freedom. 2 years and 38 days since she killed her son, Digby. Today, a Supreme Court judge ruled that time behind bars was punishment enough. While sentencing her for manslaughter, Justice Peter Hamill heard how Dowdall endured years of abuse at the hands of her son, who'd been left with behavioural and mental problems, drank heavily and was a recreational ice user after being struck by a car in 2008. On January 22, 2016, Dowdall sedated the 26-year-old at his Wadalba home, then suffocated him. The court heard it was the result of the exhaustion of caring for her son on her own with all those difficulties she had over many, many years. Her barrister argued it wasn't a premeditated killing, it was opportunistic, and that it was a spontaneous act on her behalf. The court heard after killing her son, Dowdall sent a text message to her partner with the words, "He's dead," and told her other son, "I helped him die and it's now my responsibility." When later questioned by police as to why, she said simply, "to end his pain." Dowdall's barrister described her as a mother who went over and beyond what she needed to do, so much so that she allowed her own mental health to suffer significantly. Tyson Cottrell, NBN News.
She's new to the role of president, but Lauren Haskins is no stranger to the show itself.
As a young child, I went and watched a number of different shows.
The former showgirl is the youngest ever Novocastrian to fill the position, leading a number of changes ahead of tomorrow's opening day.
So introducing online ticketing to make it easier for families.
NBN News was today given a sneak peek of what's in store. Golden Guitar winner and local Matt Scullion will headline a new country music concert. And with the additions comes some old traditions.
We've had the rodeo that we haven't had for probably 30 years.
The art exhibition is also back after a 4-year hiatus. But sadly, the agriculture section has taken a hit, with the produce display, for one, falling victim to the drought.
Getting fruit and produce available for the show has been nearly impossible because of there's been no rain for 5 months, and the livestock as well. So the livestock are not necessarily in good condition to come to the show.
Last year, the show saw one of its smallest attendances in decades, largely due to heavy rain. While this weekend's forecast looks better, organisers say the event's future will rely heavily on Mother Nature.
Attendance is the big key for us to keep that momentum going financially.
Gates open 9 a.m. Talia Sav, NBN News.
Kalani, welcome home. How does it feel to be back?
Oh, it feels absolutely amazing to be back home in my hometown after the Olympic Games. It's so exciting. I've really felt so much support, and it's nice just to be back home.
You competed for the first time in the Games. How did you find yourself feeling during that whole experience?
I had prepared myself with this picture of the Olympic Games, and it did not disappoint. It was even better than what I had expected. So it was really overwhelming at the beginning, but then I was glad I got there early before my event to kind of calm myself down and get back into my training and just kind of feel comfortable on the ice. And yeah, I felt really comfortable at that event.
Were you happy with how you skated in the end?
Oh yeah, I was incredibly happy with what I was able to put out. I mean, I never would have thought that I would have done 2 clean skates at the Olympics and 2 PBs. So I'm absolutely over the moon, and it just made my Olympic experience so much better.
The atmosphere was even better than you were expecting.
So I was expecting it to be kind of like a World Championships, but it was the Olympics, so it was completely different, and I hadn't kind of prepared myself for that, but it just felt so much better because the crowd was just roaring when every single time you land something, and just the purple arena, I loved it.
So now that you're home, do you get a chance to relax and throw the diet out the window and, do a bit less training, or what's the situation?
Not really. I have an ice show in a few days in Western Australia, and then I have to go to the World Championships in Milan. But after that, I can have a little bit of a breather and just a break and relax. But for now, I'm just really glad to be home.
17th overall at Pyeongchang. What's the aspiration going to be for Beijing?
For Beijing, I think that, I've got 4 years now. I think that if I really just knuckle down, it's been so inspiring, the whole Olympics, and, I really want a medal. So if I work really, really hard throughout these next 4 years, I think that's really possible.
He's got the Jets off the ground during his first year in charge. Now Ernie Merrick has his sights set on the Sky Blues. Ahead of the biggest game this season, the coach, skipper and CEO paid a visit to Williamtown to promote what the club's calling RAF Round.
A lot of people are talking about grand final. This could be the grand final, but that's too early to talk about that. We just want 3 points and to keep Arnie quiet for a wee while.
As part of the celebration, the FA 18s will perform a special flyover before kick-off on Saturday afternoon.
One a little bit slower, just basically 3 aircraft in close formation, and then come back around for a second pass. We'll actually do a bomb burst over the top, akin to what the logo is for the club.
The CEO has been doing his best to try and pack McDonald Jones Stadium.
Looking forward to a huge game this weekend against Sydney FC. Huge crowd, get there early, pre-buy your tickets, kids go free.
Laurie McKenna says the hometown support could be the key to victory against the runaway competition leaders.
it makes a huge difference. And I can remember coming up here with the Mariners with 22,000 fans at a semi-final when we get beat 2-0, and it was deafening. And that's what we want to scare the pants off Sydney FC when they come up here.
Mitchell Hughes, NBN News.
Dode carded a near-perfect round, finishing just 2 strokes off the course record. His last 6 holes saw 5 birdies and an eagle. Cricket great Ricky Ponting wasn't hitting them as well. He played as an amateur, going head-to-head with former Kiwi captain Stephen Fleming.
I haven't spoken to him yet today. No, those days of rivalry are all over for us.
The surfing and Philippa Anderson's bid to back up her impressive Surfest result has come to a controversial end at Manly. She trailed American Caroline Marks for much of their round 3 heat, the youngest surfer to ever qualify for the World Tour at just 15. But Anderson had a chance to progress in the dying moments. Chasing a 7.7, what would have been the highest wave score of the heat, it looked like she was close. After an agonising wait, it was deemed well short, a 6.7, with Anderson furious at being eliminated. Fellow Merriweather surfer Jackson Baker followed suit, also sent packing from the event this afternoon. For most of the heat, he sat in last place with a pair of 1-point rides. No match for heat winner, the high-flying Brazilian Alex Ribeiro. Some late waves restored a bit of pride for Baker, but they couldn't ease the disappointment of another early exit.
It's the future of midwifery education, a virtual window that takes students below the surface, or in this case, the belly.
The technology uses augmented and virtual reality platforms to immerse students in teaching that we can't normally teach in traditional methods.
The world-first technology has been born out of Newcastle by a team from the university. Using a special headset, students can explore the body during gestational stages or simply access the software on their own device.
It's portable and it's relatively cheap, so we're able to actually give this stuff to students to take home as well.
Third-year midwifery student Kath believes the technology is a game changer, saying it's enhanced her confidence in addressing birth complications.
We would love to see everyone be normal and natural, but that's not the case, so it really does help us learn about those things that we may not come across too often.
There's even an interactive quiz. Deputy Program Convener Donovan Jones is currently in talks with the CSIRO to commercialise the software globally.
This will change the way we teach midwives without a doubt. This is not something that's going to come and go. This is the way the world's moving.
Hopefully one day as well it'll get to the point where we can actually include the women in that, so we can be showing them what we're talking about when we're trying to teach the women.
Talia Sarv, NBN News.
Riding a wave of success, the state's biggest surf lifesaving event sees cash flow to Lake Macquarie.
All our accommodations are all booked out. When people come here and see our beautiful beaches and what's on offer, they will come back.
At the height of the competition, Lake Macquarie will host around 20,000 visitors, injecting more than $12 million into the city's economy. After last year's event, the council even noticed a jump in return tourism, and it's not hard to see why.
We've got the biggest and best beach running around that can account for 5,000 kids and parents running around.
Today it was the Nippers' turn to vie for podium places. More than 80 clubs are taking part, from as far north as Byron Bay and south to Pambula Beach.
We need these nippers to come up through the ranks because they're going to be our future surf lifesavers, so it's really important.
You've got some Sydney clubs that are very strong, and from a local hunter perspective, we've got Cooks Hill and our own beach, our own club, Swansea Belmont, who won the recent branch title. So we're really hoping to be up in the top 5 this year.
Samantha Long, NBN News. Rugby League greats united behind a friend in need. Sione Finifuake, former Melbourne Storm and Manly player, turned local league star for Cessnock, who's now fighting for his hometown in Tonga.
Watching some of the videos, it starts to get my emotions going because you can see he's already making a genuine difference to kids' lives.
Last year, 5 people made the journey to the island nation to coach school children and teach them about life's twists and turns. This October, 5 will become 50, all Novocastrians, all with different skill sets. From sport coaches to nurses, teachers and builders, they're just determined to make a difference.
With an open mind as well to see what we can help as well, because every time we're going back there and come back, we reassess ourselves what we can help.
I guess we want to make people aware of what Sione's vision is and what his academy is about and where he wants to take it.
Sports-wise, Sione's academy doesn't just focus on rugby league, but union, athletics and netball as well. Today, a sold-out luncheon helped raise some of the funds for the trip.
Our future plan is building an academy over there, and I want the people of Tonga to run it.
For more information, visit our website. Samantha Long, NBN News.
It's the late afternoon and the school day is over, but for half a dozen pupils from Mayfield West, the learning has only just begun. This is what after-school care for these kids has looked like for the last couple of weeks. 2 generations brought together at Charles O'Neill Aged Care over art.
The dynamic changes in the family structure, so we figured it would be good to be able to reintroduce the traditional relationship where the young can interact with the older people.
Putting pencil to paper, Maya is trying not to miss any detail in her portrait of resident Betty.
There are 2 flower hair clips that are in her hair.
Her patient muse very impressed.
They were beautiful. They were the best part of the drawing.
It's one of half a dozen portraits being submitted for the Young Archibald competition. Student Ruby says it's important the resident's personality is reflected in the work.
So Frank, he has a great personality. He loves dogs.
The older generation look forward to those young friends that they get to sit down and talk to, share personal stories with.
And even if they don't win a prize, it seems these new connections are the real reward. Talia Sav, NBN News.
While reports swirled, Andrew Naboo trained carefree with his teammates today.
It's the first I've heard of it. That's credit to him that he's in fine form and he's getting attention. That's normal in football.
But that attention could see this jet taking flight. When Naboo signed a contract extension last year, a clause was put in place that if a club lodges a transfer bid upwards of $500,000, he can leave. The current interest in the forward is large enough to activate that release.
We don't want to lose him, but it's football and it's a business. If something comes through for Andrew and we sell him, us attracting other players to come to this club is going to be easier, because they know they're going to come here and we're not going to stand in the way if the club gets reimbursed and they're getting reimbursed. Like he came in last year, a lot of people thought he's a flash in the pan, he scored a few goals. This year, he keeps doing it, he keeps scoring goals and he scores great goals.
Depending on how fast the situation unfolds, the clash with Sydney FC could be Naboo's last in Jets colours. Given his form, that would be a blow to Newcastle's title hopes, but there's some consolation. Ronnie Vargas and Pato Rodriguez will both be fit for the next game against Wellington. The speculation has taken some of the focus away from tomorrow's top-of-the-table clash. Skipper Nigel Bogard will face the Sky Blues after overcoming an injury concern. That's crucial, given Sydney's star-studded attack.
The stats don't lie. I think they're ahead in goals scored, so there's a reason why they're top of the league, because they've got that attacking potential. They've clearly got great players, but so do we.
Ernie Merrick's message to his players is they have nothing to lose, and they're echoing that.
It's exciting. These are the challenges you want to play in.
A big crowd is expected, potentially upwards of 15,000, as momentum continues to build heading into the finals.
I've talked to a few people on the street, and they're always complimentary, and not so much in the years before. So you can feel the difference.
Especially the past 2 years, I think, has been massive. It's when I've really noticed a big change, and I think it's going to get even better.
Well, I was playing with Higo, my great mate, so I was hoping he could just sort of make a few birdies. So I thought I'd just sort of rode what I was hoping he'd do, and I sort of ended up doing it.
Well, we're still waiting on the announcement of the captaincy of the Newcastle Knights this season. That announcement is about 20 minutes away, but the excitement and the speculation is certainly building. Of course, it's not necessarily over who will be captain this season. It's been widely spoken about that Jamie Buhrer is the favourite to get the nod, but more so whether he'll be doing the role alone. Of course, Nathan Brown has a habit of enforcing co-captains at his clubs. Last season, Buhrer led the side alongside Sione Mataudia, while the year before that, there were 3 co-captains. So, if he does decide to go with co-captains, the question then becomes who partners Buhrer. Sione Mataudia is again a leading candidate, but so too are our 2 new Roosters recruits, Mitchell Pearce and Aidan Guerra. They've both impressed while their time in the Hunter. It's not the only big announcement tonight. The team has been on stage a short time ago to welcome itself in front of the corporate sponsors of the club this season. The excitement is certainly filling the room. The players are excited, the coaches are excited, I'm excited. The countdown is now just 7 days away until the Knights' first game.
It doesn't look like much now, but for some, it's where they'll build a future.
Just a room for the children to, run around and, enjoy it,
A milestone in the township's history. Today, the first stage of Greta's largest ever development unveiled. Daniel and Deborah Foote are among those making the move.
There's a chance to get half-acre blocks is pretty rare now, especially with the new expressway 2 minutes away, and then it just brings Newcastle and the surrounding areas a lot closer than what it used to be.
It just emphasises the effect that the Hunter Expressway has had on our local government area. DA numbers are through the roof. We are booming.
Council predicting the housing boom will also have flow-on effects.
It's an investment in the whole community, and our community further prospers. For the businesses of Greta and Branxton, because of the opportunity of these residents to spend locally and boost the businesses in the area.
71 lots went on the market today, more than half already sold. The $60 million estate attracting buyers both close to home and from the big smoke.
First home buyers and owner-occupiers alike, but we're also attracting home owners that are downsizers, so we've been able to attract young families, locals. We've also had a good inquiry out of Sydney.
Meredith Gibbs, NBN News.
Enjoying a conversation with others. For many of us, it's part of life, but for Sue Jenkins, it's something she'll never take for granted again.
Now I can hear the world, I can hear the birds, I can hear people, and it's just amazing.
After the birth of her first child, Sue noticed something wasn't quite right with her hearing. Then, at just 44, the mother of 4 went profoundly deaf.
There's a tube in your brain that actually closes over when you're about 4, and mine hadn't closed over, and it was allowing the toxic brain fluid to creep into the cochlea and was causing minimum damage.
It was a devastating loss which ended her career as an early childhood educator. Her only option, a cochlear implant, and it wasn't cheap.
I had no sign language. I had no form of communication. While I could talk, I just couldn't hear what they were saying. So it's really degrading as a person. Like you just feel so isolated. Somehow I found some determination in me to say, get up and start to raise some money.
And after raising $40,000 for one implant, she managed to acquire a second.
Cochlear gave me my life back. Instead of being hearing impaired or deaf or profoundly deaf, I was now a person that could hear again.
Sue has since returned to the workforce as a chaplain in schools and aged care facilities.
And I can understand how they're feeling sad because they can't hear our conversation. So I know to write them a letter, or I know to speak up a little bit louder or look at them. And so it's just given me great empathy for people.
She says it's important for all of us to closely monitor any changes to our hearing, something that's currently being promoted in Newcastle, with free tests offered as part of Hearing Awareness Week.
Be on top of your hearing, get regular tests.
Emma Murphy, NBN News.
Last night was another of the moments where Mitchell Pearce has had to pinch himself.
It all feels a bit surreal, actually. The whole last 4 months has felt surreal, to be honest.
Not that the captaincy announcement came as a shock to him.
Jamie Buer and Mitchell Pearce.
Is it something that obviously sits comfortably with you?
Yeah, it does, because I know what your role is in the side, and I came here as a leader. I'm going 29 in a month, and I've played a lot of first grade footy, and the club signed me as a leader and as a player to lead their side around.
While Pearce's appointment may have surprised fans, Buer's didn't. He shared the role last year and has been an obvious leader since his arrival, although it's a role he is happy to share.
He's quite vocal, speaks more kind of with his actions, and what he does on the football field and stuff, and I'm a bit more hands-on, off the field as well. So I think the combination, is a good one, and I think it's going to be good for the team moving forward.
In a twist, he'll lead the side in round one against his former club Manly. He played 128 games for the Seagulls, and while that number is just 16 for Newcastle, he knows he's now a Knight.
Oh, 100%. I'm loving it here. The family's loving it here. It's not difficult to buy into Newcastle and what the town's about, especially as a football player and seeing how much the jersey means to so many fans.
And Buer is adamant the Knights will be far better for the season proper.
I think the trial loss was probably a good thing for us. Let's put it that way.
It was made clear before kick-off just how much this fixture means to local footy's Indigenous community, and once both sides had taken to the field, it was made clear again the first set into the match. Early errors hurt the Newcastle All-Stars, and some aggressive defence didn't help their cause either. Josh Charles was dangerous from the outset, his winding run giving the Indigenous All-Stars an 8-0 lead. A clever kick gave the Newcastle All-Stars a repeat set down the other end, but again, they couldn't find that final pass. In the end, they didn't need one to get onto the scoreboard. Now it's Central Terence Siu turned on the burners at his new home ground. Before he then turned provider, kicking behind the line for a flying Nathan Cantor. The score 8-10 minutes before half-time, but it didn't stay that way. A cheeky short kick-off from Matt Simon saw the Indigenous All-Stars regather the ball and make some big meters. A well-worked backline play ending with Curry's Jerome Haynes, the Indigenous All-Stars with a 12-10 advantage. But even that didn't last long. A knock-on handing Newcastle the ball back, and Terence Siu again made it count, sending over a rampant Michael Steele. The half-time score, 16-12. Last year's game was a draw. This year was always going to be close. Andy Sumner putting the Indigenous All-Stars back in front. And while Newcastle responded, there was no holding out the Indigenous side, running away to post a 34-22 win.